blind.
Yo, what's up guys? How you doing today? Yesterday was another awesome day in the Overwatch League. There were some lopsided matches, but there was a silver lining for the Dallas Fuel. They looked much better than they did yesterday against the Houston Outlaws. It was a very fun and exciting competitive match between them and the London Spitfire. That's what I was hoping to see, and that's what we got. So big shout out to Dallas for coming out after a devastating loss yesterday and still putting up a good performance against one of the best teams in the league. And after this match, Effect took to Twitter and said this: "I was thinking a lot after today's match. It was the first time I felt so frustrated and sad. It made me shed tears. All the flashbacks of times I individually made mistakes one by one came into my head. Maybe if there were no mistakes by me, regardless of the teamwork and coordination, I would not have been this mad at myself. I thought I was getting better at Widow after practice, but there's a long way to go. I thought my Tracer was perfect too, but that turned out to be my conceit. The best DPS who clutches out is the one who covers the work of all his teammates who are not in their good form. I thought when we lost in Apex to Kongdu, their playstyle just countered ours inherently, and not a matter of fundamental coordination differences. In Contenders, our opponent's teamwork was worse than ours, so I wasn't able to figure out what we lacked. Now I realize that we were just being big-headed. Sorry fans, we promised to try harder." Now, I find this statement he made very admirable. Now, I know from personal experiences, it's very, very hard to man up in this situation. And personally, I probably wouldn't have, and most players won't. He very easily could have came out and said, yeah, we're satisfied with today, much more improvement from the games yesterday, we're going to keep improving, everything's looking good, guys. But instead, he came out, he spoke the honest truth, the harsh reality of the situation. He spoke about himself and how he's been lacking in performance and how he can do much, much better for his team. Which again, guys, is very hard to do, especially openly. So much respect to Effect for putting out this statement. Now, in my last video where I interviewed Muma, I posted in the comments that if there was enough interest, I would do a full, in-depth video over the Dallas Fuel, talking about why they're struggling and how they can get better. So, welcome to that video, guys. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm doing the best I can to bring the content you guys want. So let me know down in the comments whatever you want. And be sure to join the Discord, guys. You can always ask me questions. And we're always doing viewing parties where you can learn so much. Anyways, let's get into this video. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over their problems. What is causing it? What is the true root of all evil for the Dallas Fuel? And while doing this, I'm also going to tie in solutions and see what they can do to improve the situation and get better as a team. So starting off, in general, I think the Dallas Fuel are lost as a team. Just overall, I don't think they have a great understanding on how they need to play the game and what roster they need to use. They've honestly been all over the place. They've opted to run different players on the same maps depending on the set. One time on Junkertown, you'll see Seagull in. The next time they play Junkertown, he's not in. As well as for Harry Hook and Custo on Junkertown. Now, if you look at the other teams, sure, they're switching their rosters per map, but generally, they're staying with the same 6 players per map every single set they play. So on Junkertown, they'll run the same 6 players as they do in the next. Yes, I know that there are those 1 or 2 teams like Seoul Dynasty who will just run random players on random maps all the time depending on the set. But I think we can all agree here that Seoul Dynasty are a completely different team from most in the league. Now, why I think this is a big problem for the Dallas Fuel is because if you're switching players so much up, especially on same maps set to set, it's only going to make it harder for your team to nail down communication and teamwork. And it is very clear to tell with the Dallas Fuel that they do not have strong teamwork or communication. As I've mentioned in multiple videos already, that game they had against Seoul Dynasty on Anubis was 100% won for them. But they didn't win it because they clearly did not use teamwork or communication in the last few minutes trying to cap point B on Anubis. We've consistently seen them come up short in big moments, and it's clearly due to their communication and teamwork. Another reason to prove this is all the C9s they're making. They're literally getting back capped, they're getting off the cart in crucial moments, multiple times per sets. And that just proves they're not communicating together, they're not working together, they don't know who's going to be on the cart when they need someone to be on the cart. They don't have somebody specifically watching the cart or something like that. Their focus and teamwork is off, which I believe is due to them trying to run too many players in too many games. I can only imagine what their scrims are like. Are they literally switching out players per map constantly? I don't know. That's just speculation, but they must be because they're doing it in their matches. So again, that's just slowing them down. They're behind in teamwork and communication compared to most of the other teams because as Muma mentioned yesterday in our interview, most teams are sticking to a core 6 because that's what Overwatch originally was. That's how teams got really good. They had just a core 6 that they worked on really, really hard, and they ended up working well together. Now sure, yes, people are subbing players out here and there, but nothing like the Dallas feel. Clearly they've been back and forth in practice and not sure on what roster to run. That's why we've been seeing a mixture of just random stuff. And I think they just need to slow down a little bit. And we saw that today in the London Spitfire match. And honestly, I was extremely, extremely happy to see the original Envious roster back. Those 6 players have accomplished so much together. There's just absolutely no reason for the Dallas Fuel not to use the original 6 Envious players as their core roster and then slowly integrate the other players in for where they're very useful, like Seagull sometimes on Koth, which makes sense, unlike randomly putting Seagull in for Junkertown and then not putting him for the next one. They need to be consistent with the players that they put in per map, and they need to identify a core 6. But hopefully they realized after yesterday in their match against London Spitfire that if they do just stick with the original roster, they will produce much better results early on. And yes, although it is a long season, it's still important to pick up every single map that you can. Now this sort of ties into the next topic I want to talk about as to why the Dallas Fuel are underperforming as of recently, which is that they overreacted from their week 1 losses and went into kind of a panic mode. I mean, let's be honest, they were inches away from beating Seoul Dynasty. Few less mistakes and a couple things go their way, they win that set against Seoul Dynasty. They start off the regular season being 1-0, beating the best team in the entire world heading in. Then after that game, it was like, alright, yeah, we made some mistakes, we easily could have won, but we're on the right path. Let's go out there, let's take out the LA Valiant like we should, and we'll look at next week. So, going into the LA Valiant set, they thought, alright, our games are really close with Seoul. This should be much easier for us. It was close to start off. They could have potentially won Junkertown. They looked like the better team on that map, but they didn't. The same communication and teamwork errors that they had in the Seoul Dynasty game were appearing again here. It just, didn't go their way. Alright, well, we'll get them in the rest of the series. We got this. Then Lunar Horizon Colony came, and it was tough again. And this time, LA Valiant looked like the stronger team. Although it ended up in a draw, LA Valiant looked like the better team. They kind of threw the map away. If they made a little less mistakes, they would have won, clearly. But, it was a draw. And now Dallas is thinking, alright, 2 maps in, we're down 1-0. We got to win these next 2 maps or we lose the set. Then we got to Elios. And in the first round, LA Valiant kind of stomped the Dallas Fuel. It was 100-0. Not really close at all. No team fights really kind of went in the Dallas Fuel's favor. And I think from here on out, they started panicking. Sure, the next round was sort of close, but the LA Valiant still took it. And going into Nubani, I mean, we all remember Nubani. That was just a mess. The Dallas Fuel just completely collapsed. And after the set, I think they went full on panic mode. They went from being inches away of beating Seoul Dynasty to losing pretty handily to the Los Angeles Valiant and looking extremely sloppy. And I think they just full on panicked. They went overboard. Instead of doing what they should have done, which is limited their roster play and focus on playing just the right players at the right times and a core 6, they could have probably had a much closer game with Houston. Now, I'm not saying they would have won it, but it would have been much, much more competitive. And I think over the 3-day break from week 1 to week 2, they were just in full-on panic mode, running even more crazy team comps and random maps. As we saw, they came out in the Houston game with a wonky lineup, and I think it was clear that they overreacted from their losses in the first week. I think everybody can sit here and say, Dallas Fuel is not that bad. The performance they had against Houston was atrocious. They are not that bad. We all know they're not that bad. They know they're not bad. Houston knows they're not that bad. It's clear they're not. They just literally panicked, overreacted to their losses from week 1, and blew this match completely. Leading into the London game, they ran another completely different lineup, which I agree with the one they ran this time. I agree. I think they should be running that core 6 of Envious mainly. And hopefully this is because they realize that too, and not that they just want to keep changing things up. Because if they go into the next match and keep changing things up, I don't know, it's going to be a mess. Next week they have San Francisco Shock and Boston Uprising. And guys, these are some good teams. San Francisco Shock and Boston Uprising will both give Dallas Fuel trouble. Now, I'm not going to predict who's going to win right now and on the spot, but I think we could all agree that there will be somewhat close games, which will be competitive. And as Dallas Fuel comes into these games panicking again with weird lineups on multiple maps like they've been doing, especially in that Houston Outlaws game, they're gonna struggle. So I hope from this London Spitfire game, they realize, okay, the core six with Envious, with, Seagull there on those Koth games, put up a good fight against London Spitfire. Now, if we can improve on this roster and continue to get better, we can more quickly become a stronger team than we would if we just keep running these wonky lineups. And hopefully they realize that. I think they do. I'm not going to say 100% for sure that they do, because up until this point, they haven't proved that they know what they're really doing with their lineup. And it's been a complete mess. Now, this leads me into my last topic I want to talk about, which is the team's overall mentality and environment. Now, you can just tell every single time the Dallas Fuel loses, the players just look so defeated and even depressed. Even Mickey, man. Even Mickey, for crying out loud, guys. One of the most positive PMA players in competitive environments I have ever seen. Anybody has ever seen. This guy is positive as hell. He even looks defeated in a lot of these games. He looks clueless. He looks like he's sometimes given up on trying to keep everybody positive and on board, with statements coming out left and right from these players saying how they're just sad and defeated on how bad they've been played and how bad the team has been performing. Yes, there's a silver lining in all their posts of them saying, yeah, we realize we're this bad and we're going to work on it, but it's going to be really hard to mentally reset for these guys, and that's what they have to do. They desperately need to mentally reset. They need to just forget about all these losses. They got to go into this 3-day break and practice with the core six, focus on the little things and what they need to do to improve their teamwork and communication while doing small and simple strategies, not complex and crazy, wild, wonky comps with wonky lineups. And if they can do that, then they'll be in a good spot. But man, just mentally, I don't know if they can. Resetting at this point just might be too much for some of their players, especially after XQC being banned for the rest of Stage 1, which has got to be another hit mentally, Even if they're not going to play him as much, it's a player on the roster being banned for the rest of the stage. It's got to take a toll on some of the players mentally, especially XQC. But luckily for him, he's got a lot of time he can take off and mentally reset. Unlike these other players who have only 3 days to prepare over the weekend, and then boom, Wednesday's here, they got to start playing already. So again, they just got to mentally reset. And if they could do that, they'll be in a better spot. All right, now to just recap on what I went over. Overall, they just need to slow down, focus in on one roster, one core six, with minimal changes, work on simple, small things and strategies that will help them improve their teamwork and communication, and they just gotta mentally reset. Forget about the losses. You can't panic anymore. Go into week 4 completely fresh. Remember, it's a long season. Yes, you gotta win these games early on, but relax, you already lost a few. If you lose more, it won't even matter at this point. So just calm down, focus on improving, and hopefully by mid-season we'll be much better and a top 4 team. If they can do these things, I think they will vastly improve at a much quicker rate than they would if they keep going down the path they are. And come playoff time, the Dallas Fuel will be a strong team and a contender for the championship. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I hope you guys all understand now by this point that I don't hate the Dallas Fuel. I'm not out to get them. I was just making my predictions. That's all, guys. If I say a team is going to lose, it's for logical reasons. I saw this coming, and I'm not going to rub it into your guys' face anymore at all. That's it. I made this video to give you guys more insight on why they might be struggling and what they potentially could do moving on to improve. And that's just it, guys. I love the Overwatch League. I love every team. It's all about the competition. Great games. I want to see the best of the best compete. I don't want to see no stomps. I don't want to see any teams fall apart. I don't want to see players fail. I just want to see everybody succeed and deliver the best for the Overwatch League. I've said it a lot, and I'm putting an emphasis on that, guys. It's just truly how I feel. So thank you very much for watching. Drop a subscription, guys. Like the video. Join the Discord for viewing parties, questions, anything you want. I'm out of here, guys. Peace.